Iran-Israel conflict brings more instability to the Middle East, a region with extensive US interests. They'll be central to shaping President Donald Trump's strategy. So what's at stake for Washington, and the pros and cons for Trump of further involvement? This is Inside Story. Hello there and welcome to the programme. I'm Nick Clark. So, the US has long been the dominant global power in much of the Middle East. It has military bases right across the region, along with extensive economic and political interests and alliances. And since the Iranian Revolution 46 years ago, Tehran has been seen as a permanent enemy by Washington and the biggest challenge to its interests in the Middle East. Israel has been the opposite, America's perpetual ally, given vast quantities of military supplies and limitless political support. The Iran-Israel conflict now opens up a new front, with Israel demanding deeper US military involvement. So what will that mean for US concerns in the region, and what are the risks for America? And how will this shape Donald Trump's thinking and strategy? We'll get to our guests in just a moment, but first this report from Barbara and Gopa.
US President Donald Trump left the G7 summit in Canada abruptly, saying he needed to return to Washington, D.C. urgently to deal with the Israel-Iran conflict.
Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Earlier, he'd posted on his Truth Social platform an ominous warning to the 17 million people living in and around the Iranian capital to leave. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran, he said. Before Israel's attacks began on Friday, the US was preparing to hold its sixth round of negotiations with Iran to reach a nuclear deal, one of Trump's foreign policy aims.
One of the prerequisites for negotiations to resume is Israel stopping its military attacks on Iran. Iran is not going to negotiate while it's being bombed. And as far as I can tell, Israel sees no reason to cease bombing the targets it's selected.
The US is Israel's top ally, providing arms, financial and political support. But Trump has repeatedly pledged to end US involvement in foreign wars, presenting himself as a global peacemaker. Israel is urging the US to become directly involved. However, some among Trump's Republican Party support base are uneasy.
I think, they're engaged in a war ultimately about regime change that's bound to fail. And I hope the Trump administration recognizes that and keeps the United States out of it.
Iran, since the Islamic Revolution, has been seen as an enemy of the US. But attacks on a long-term adversary brings risks for Washington too. Further turmoil in a region already racked with multiple conflicts will mean more political instability with human cost and unpredictable outcomes. With multiple conflicts will mean more political instability with human cost and unpredictable outcomes. The area is of vital importance to world energy supplies, threats to which the US will want to contain. Israel has attacked Iran's South Pass gas fields, while Iranian state media and a senior politician have said that possibly closing the Strait of Hormuz is under consideration. It's a vital waterway, not just for oil supplies, but for global trade too.
That particular Hormuz, the pathway, is not only for oil. All the rest of the trade, also those particular containers and ships that go past that path.
President Trump will be weighing up what the US interests are in this conflict.
So let's stop that right there, right? What are the US interests, right? What are the US interests in the conflict? You always hear that bullshit term. What are the US interests? What are the US, foreign policy, US interests, blah, 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 right? And then you start hearing all of this chitter chatter, this chatty patty bullshit. Well, the U.S. interests and this and that and the blah, blah, blah and the blah, 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 right? And let me just cut through the bullshit for you. The only U.S. interest and the European interest in Israel attacking Iran is white supremacy and ethno supremacy and racism. Let's just get to the fucking point. Cut it out. Right? That's the only interest, right? And maybe the cherry on top might be we get to bilk your country, right? Out we get to bring in some of our people and out and some of these elites and different groups get to bilk your citizens. You know, we prop up your government with some losers, right? With some sellouts and coons and losers, like the Congressional Black Caucus in the United States, for example, right? And we prop up your government with a bunch of fucking political whores and losers, right? And then get them to help us, you know, siphon off, you know, billions and trillions of dollars of your resources and money. That's what that's all it's about. About racism, white supremacy, right? Domination, and stealing your shit. What has it always been about? I mean, cut it out, man. They need to cut this shit out. With all of this, what are the U.S. interests at stake in Israel and the Middle East? Blah blah blah. What are U.S. interests in Middle? It's the same shit. What was it? What was the U.S. What was people's interest when they invaded the fucking United States? Right? Colonized it, enslaved people, killed the Indians, killed the 100 million blacks, killed the 100, you know, to build a slave colony, killed 77 million Indians. What was their interest then? It's the same thing now. It hasn't changed. They try to pretty it up. You're wasting my time. They're wasting your time. Talking about what is the interest of the U.S. and blah, 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 and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Racism, white supremacy. A bunch of racists, Nazis, stealing people's shit, killing people, trying to dominate them, people that won't agree with them, capitulate and lick their boots, and then stealing shit in the meantime, in between time. As a cherry on top, I get to take your fucking, you know, siphon off your oil in natural gas. Iran has the biggest natural gas field in the world. In case you didn't know that, for the cheap seats. Right? And so it's just like, okay, you Iranians, you Persians, you won't go along with the shit that we want. Okay, we'll fuck you up, and on top of that, we'll take some of your oil profits, oil and gas profits. On top of that, you got any diamonds? You got any other shit that we could take? That's just the icing on the cake, right? The important part is the racism, white supremacy, and the domination, right? And mistreatment of people based on, you know, racial classifications. Ethno supremacy, we're God's chosen people, and all that bullshit, right? All this ethno supremacist bullshit. God chosen people and this and that. How the fuck is a bunch of people from, I think Benjamin Netanyahu is from like Poland somewhere. How the fuck is he God's chosen people? Because he's from Poland, and then he changed his name, went to Israel, killed a bunch of Arabs, took their land, and then slapped a label on himself and said, I'm a Jew and I'm God's chosen people. Okay, I mean, if you say so, homie. I mean, this is some bullshit, straight up bullshit, but I mean, I guess I could call myself Captain Crunch, King of Cereal. I mean, I guess, right? I'm God chosen cereal king, Captain Crunch. I mean, you can call yourself any fucking thing you want, I guess. If people will go for that shit. I guess if you kick them in their face hard enough and kick them in their teeth hard enough, they got to agree with you, like in America. You said, what is U.S. interest in anywhere? It's racism, Nazism, and racism. That's the only interest they got. There is no other interest. The other shit is just icing on the cake. They don't give a fuck about that. They just shoot you and take it anyway. They said, well, it's oil. Oh, over there is oil and gas. They just shoot you and take your oil and gas anyway. The key is making sure you submit and we dominate you and mistreat you based on racial classifications. That's number one. Ethno-racist supremacy, ethnic racist supremacy. That's job number one. The oil and gas and the diamonds and the plastic and the rubber and whatever the fuck else they stealing and taking from you, and the gold and the silver, like in Eritrea and places like that. They take Canadians is strip mining, taking shit out of Eritrea, silver, but all that shit is icing on the cake. They don't give a fuck about that. The first thing is, the most important thing is that we have to, dominate these people and mistreat these people based on race, and then we steal their shit. Like in Palestine, Israel. In Palestine, you don't know that they got oil and gas in Gaza? You don't know that? The Lebanese are a bunch of scumbags. They're making oil and gas deals. They say that they're trying to help the Palestinians, but at the same time making oil and gas deals with Israel, who's running an apartheid state against Arabs. So you mean some motherfuckers show up, kick your ass, take your land, and you claim to be rebelling and fighting against them, but then at the same time you doing oil deals with them? That makes sense? You doing oil deals so you can get into an oil and gas deal with them? Motherfucker, this my shit. This my grandfather. It's just like, this my grandfather's land. This our shit. How we gonna come here and, I'm gonna make a deal to give you something after you done killed all these people and done all of this. Now we gonna make a deal. But you claim you fighting them. I don't understand that. Right? You claim to be indigenous, but then you let them come there and then you make an oil and gas deal with them after they commit genocide. Speaking of genocide, the motherfucker, Netanyahu has a commercial on TV. Did you know that? I mean, if this motherfucker ain't the devil, ain't Satan, I don't know who is. He has a commercial on TV about attacking Iran. You can't make this shit up. You've probably seen it on YouTube or TV somewhere. He has a fucking commercial. How the fuck do you commit genocide and kill 200,000 people? Right? They put out a warrant for you. Nobody will arrest you for the genocide. They put out a warrant for you in a court. And instead of somehow these people being brought to justice and going to court for genocide and killing 200,000 people unnecessarily, a war crime, you get a commercial on TV about committing another war crime and then go bomb a sovereign country, Iran, who hasn't bombed anybody. And claim they got, here we go again, WMD. Oh, where have we heard this before? Oh, George Bush, Colin Powell, that beige coon Negro. Iraq has WMD. Oh, now Iran has WMD. Here we go again. And so let's just be honest. Their only interest is one thing. You said, what are the interests? I'm not gonna make this too long, but you talk about what are the U.S. interests at stake. Racism, the preservation. Israel is an apartheid state. You do know that, right? Every civil, human rights group in the world has labeled them an apartheid state, worse than South Africa. Probably in some cases just as bad, if not worse, than the United States. They just leave them out somehow. I guess 1965, 1970 don't count. Only thing count is like 1990 and up, 1985 and up. It's real simple, right? Apartheid, Jim Crow states unite. You see, you wonder why Trump's so worried about South Africa. He is so worried. Donald Trump, oh, the farmers are being killed in South Africa. He's so fit. This cracker is so fucking worried about South Africa. This saltine. Why? Because he don't feel like the racism is going right down there. The racism and the white supremacy is not going right in South Africa. They over in Israel. Oh my goodness, Israel, a known apartheid state where the prime sinister has a warrant out for committing war crimes and genocide in a commercial on TV. You can't make this shit up. Right? And now your boy, Mr. T is over this motherfucker, right? Starting a war with him. Right? Because they can't have a nuke. They don't have a nuke. Fuck, why don't you stop saying that, you dumb fuck? They can't have a nuke. Iran can't have a nuke. They don't have a nuke. You a fucking parrot? What you keep saying the same thing over and over again for? You a retard? You got Alzheimer's or something? You can't hold two thoughts in your head at the same time? Or you just trying to be a appropriate propagandist, Nazi propagandist? Now you in Israel, another apartheid state. That's a hell of a coincidence. You in South Africa crying about some form of genocide that ain't taking place. A known apartheid state. Right? You grew up, you 79, you grew up under an apartheid state, leading an apartheid state at 79 years old. Your father and you came out of an apartheid state, and now you in Israel, called an apartheid state by every civil rights group in the fucking world. Huh? It's a hell of a coincidence, all these apartheid states. You said, what are U.S. interests? I don't know. What is their interest in South? What is his interest in South Africa? What is their interest in Israel? If it's not white supremacy and racism and domination based on race and ethno supremacy, ethnic supremacy and racial supremacy, that's their interest. Obviously, you think? I guess unless you some dumbass Negro and you just think it's a coincidence. Everything a coincidence for you. Oh, that's just a coincidence. It's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's the truth. It's even in your Bible. If you read the book of Joel, what does it say? I'm not even going to tell you what it says. I just know I'm right. You go read it for yourself. I'm not even going to tell you what it says. If you don't know what it says, go fucking read it for yourself. And once you read it, then you'll understand. Right? I'm not doing that no more. I'm too old and I don't got time. You gotta catch up. You gotta keep up. You can't keep up, fuck you. You're gonna be lost in the sauce. Right? I'm not coming on, putting everything on the screen. Point A, look at this, read this text from Joel, blah, blah, blah. Nah, man, go do your own research. Either you know what I'm saying is true or not. And if you're not sure, then go do your own research. Stop being an airhead. And then when you hear somebody say something, it will make sense to you on different levels of your spirit. Spiritually, like the Bible says, your spirit will become upright in you. You won't be such a fucking degenerate because you don't know anything. But on that note, I'm going to wrap this, man. But yeah, with U.S. interest is just racism, white supremacy. That's all you are, and degeneracy. That's all their interest is. If you notice, if you know this as a fact, when after the Iranian Revolution, the people that ran the revolution was against South Africa. Before that, the Iranians was for South Africa and supported apartheid. It's not so when I'm saying this shit, I'm saying it based on all facts. What are U.S. interests? You mean what are white racist Nazis like the ones in Israel? What are their interests? What are they doing? Oh, since 1948, invading, colonizing, stealing land and money and resources, oil and gas. Okay, well that's their interest. Racism and stealing your shit is their interest. All the other shit is window dressing. Is a bunch of nonsense and babble. It's a bunch of bullshit babble. Blah 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 blah. That's all it is. Blah 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 blah. Right. Blah blah. My interest and the interest of the U.S. and the blah 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 blah. That's all. It's a bunch of bullshit. Wasting your time. Why they run circles around you? Because you just a time waster anyway. Right? You just a clown. Waste your time anyway. Wasting your fucking time. Trying to figure out how to better fuck you over. I said it yesterday and it's true. You notice all the countries they always bombing and fucking over. They say, socialism is horrible and blah, blah, and all this shit. You always notice like Libya, for example, who had one of the best lifestyle index of any country, some better than all countries in Africa and better than some countries in Europe. What did they do? They went and got a coon named Barack Obama, a fucking coon, to bomb the country, because it looked good if it's a black man, right? To bomb an African country. And then the bomb a country that has, free healthcare, universal healthcare for their people. Yeah, Gaddafi had universal healthcare, and I believe you could go to college for like 2 years, or free in some cases. And they had great healthcare in the country. Some of the best healthcare you could get between Africa and Europe. Now they selling black people for $300 in Libya. The Arab is selling blacks for $300. Thanks, Obama. And they stole probably like $8 billion worth of gold and oil when they went in there. Saying back to what I said. What is their interest? Racism and stealing your shit. That's their interest. The first and most important thing is ethno supremacy, racist ethnic supremacy. All of the countries support don't let them fool you. Oh, what's going on with these? All of them support what Israel is doing. Europe, Canada, America, all support them destroy. If they didn't, they would just cut them off and make them stop. You don't think they could? They would just make them stop. Israel's an extremely small country. They would just make them stop. And they get all their weapons from the U.S. and Europe. They are all together behind this. They are all involved. Don't let them fool you. The Europeans in Europe, Donald Trump, the Europeans, the white people in the United States. Why do you think you got all these white people in the United States always talking about Israel, Israel, Israel? We gotta protect Israel. No, because they worship evil. They worship an apartheid state, racist, this racist, ethnic, Nazi bullshit. Then they anti-blacks. People probably like, oh man, yeah, I know. I mean, you gotta tell the truth sometimes. For once in your life, you gotta tell the truth. The facts is the facts. The truth is the truth. And listen, people not gonna accept it. That's why the end game, the end is the end. You see what I'm saying? Like the end of this is the end. Like the Bible is right. When the Lord comes, it's gonna be off with your heads. Because why? They won't accept the truth. In the book of Ezra, he gave a prophecy in the end times. He said, Ezra said, I saw all of these people, and they had fire shooting out of their mouths and ears, and they were suffering, and many punishments, getting many punishments, and being burned. And he said, I asked the angel Michael and the prophet, and who are these people? He said, these are the people that would not learn and listen. These are the people that would not listen, Ezra. These fucking people not gonna fucking listen. They don't care. Listen, these people, one thing, that's what I learned. People don't give a shit about the truth or facts or none of that shit. They just want what they want. Or justice. You think Donald Trump care about justice? Really? You think Benjamin Netanyahu care about justice? The Antichrist? You think Macron and all these people in Europe care about justice? The Congressional Black Caucus, right? Barack Obama. You think these people care about justice? All the blood on their hands and the dirt and the mud and shit that they done. You think they care about justice? This ain't about justice and righteousness and all that bullshit that people talk. Equality. This ain't how that's going. Listen, this is not what this is about. These people don't care anything about any of that. These are a lot of self-serving scumbags, and their main in a lot of cases, Nearly Fuller was right. At the root of all that shit is the same thing: a bunch of racist supremacists, particularly anti-blacks. At the root of it all, you pull back all of the counter. What is the U.S. interest and all this shit, and whatever issue, like he said, politics, religion, war, whatever. You pull that shit back, it comes back to the same thing. A bunch of racist fucking Nazis. You can't get away from it. That's why the Bible, and it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. It's all in there. Your rainbow flags, right? Your racism, your slavery, the judgments for all of that. It's prophetic. It's in the Bible. You gotta pay for all of this. There's a reckoning coming. As it is written, so it shall be done. Simple as that. So, anyway, that's all I got, man. I'm gonna leave it there. Good luck out there. Subscribe if you want. It's gonna be more of this fire.